Our top story now, at least 11 patients in intensive care have died at Tirupati's Ruia Hospital yesterday evening following the disruption of oxygen supply there. Videos have emerged that show a mad scramble inside the wards as medical, paramedic and others are trying to revive and keep patients alive in the crisis.
ఎంత తీవ్రంగా ఉందో చూడండి సార్. సార్ ఇది సార్ పై వార్డ్ సార్.
All right, let's go across to NDTV's Uma Sudhir for more. And Uma, it's just heart-rending to see the kind of panic inside the ward and relatives wailing. Give us more details of what happened. An inquiry too has been ordered.
Yes, indeed. The Chief Minister has ordered an inquiry. This incident happened at around 8:30 yesterday in the evening at the SVR Ruia Hospital, the biggest government hospital, in fact, in Tirupati, which has a bed capacity right now of more than 1,100 patients. What we understand is that there are nearly 400 oxygen patients and about 150 ICU patients in this place, and there is a 10,000-liter oxygen tanker there. But that had almost got empty, and those people who were on ICU and who were on ventilator were being shifted to bulk cylinders. And during the process of shifting them, we are being told that the pressure had in fact fallen. While these patients are saying that they did not have oxygen supply for at least 25 minutes, some of them saying as many as 45 minutes. The rest of the people, in fact, the authorities, in fact, saying that the disruption was only for about 5 minutes. The district collector, Mr. Harinarayan, has confirmed that there were indeed 11 deaths yesterday because of the disruption in the oxygen supply. Those videos that we have got from inside the wards of the hospital certainly very, very heartrending as the patients, attenders are desperately trying to revive them. Some of them, the paramedical staff and the doctors also trying to use CPR on many people. You can see some people are already lying unconscious with no state, so there is no way of knowing whether they have in fact passed away as well. So the district collector said that the oxygen tanker that was to come from Sri Perumbudur in Tamil Nadu had got delayed. The shift would happen to the bulk cylinders. The oxygen supply was in fact present, but there was some problem because of which there is a pressure fall, and that's what had led to the kind of crisis that we saw in the ICU ward. He said that in fact a major disaster had been averted because of the quick thinking on the part of the doctors and the paramedical staff. But we do know that the doctors and the nurses got very, very tense as the patients attenders in their anxiety and in their panic. In fact, some of them even ransacked the ICU and threw and broke some of the equipment there. And the medical staff, in fact, got worried that they would be attacked. We were told that some of them had gone and hidden themselves inside the bathroom. Some of them tried to go away from the hospital. But subsequently, of course, everyone, as we can see in the visuals, there are medical staff also present there. And about 30 doctors were working even after the so-called crisis was over and trying to revive the patients. So what kind of an effect it has had on other patients who also suffered dip in oxygen, that as of now is not yet clear. What we are expecting is that in a short while from now, the Chief Minister may get a detailed report of what really happened in the hospital, what led to this crisis, whether it's a technical problem or really a shortage of oxygen, which of course the collector has denied, saying that there were bulk cylinders available and there was, yes, a delay in the tanker coming in from Sri Perumbudur. Back to you, Gargi.
Right, Uma, it just gives you a sense of, how it's such a race against time, especially in view of this oxygen issue and oxygen supply issue. As you're telling us, the central supply of oxygen in this particular hospital ran out, and they had to shift these patients onto oxygen cylinders during that time. At the same time, you're saying that, oxygen tankers that were coming from Tamil Nadu had got delayed. And just even if it was, 5 minutes as the administration says or 45 minutes as the patients say, it cost 11 lives. So it just goes to show how critical things are getting inside the hospitals, isn't it?
Absolutely, because there are over 35,000 patients, in fact, in beds, corona patients who also require oxygen. And that was one of the things that was brought to the attention of the Chief Minister, saying that the health infrastructure is not able to cope any longer. And even though governments of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh have been reluctant to bring in lockdown, a partial lockdown was brought in Andhra Pradesh, precisely citing this reason about increasing number of patients, all of them requiring oxygen, and increasing number of the levels to which the hospitals and the medical staff in Andhra Pradesh themselves have been stretched. So there is a partial lockdown between 12 noon and 6 a.m. every day. Between 6 a.m. and 12 noon, there is some relaxation when the essential services can happen. The second aspect of this, Gargi, is that we are talking about, they were already using about 480 metric tons, and they were expecting that would go up to 1,200 metric tons, the demand for oxygen in Andhra Pradesh. Of course, there is a Vizag steel plant, but the lower parts of the state, whether it's the Rayalaseema region, they would have to be supplied by Ballari and also by Tamil Nadu, Sriperumbudur, and with every state, in fact, now, feeling that pressure on the supply of oxygen, it is becoming an issue between states as well about whether the oxygen would reach on time and adequate supplies would reach. The second aspect also that I want to point out is that several of the patients in Andhra Pradesh try to come towards Hyderabad, that is seen as a major medical center in the two Telugu states, and near the borders of Andhra and Telangana. In fact, all the ambulances were stopped by the Telangana police yesterday because of two reasons. One, even though there is no official, kind of a clampdown on the movement of vehicles between these two states, even then the Telangana police stopped them, saying that unless you have a reservation in the hospitals, we cannot allow the ambulances to pass through, and therefore there were queues of vehicles that were standing, and it was a very, very distressful kind of a situation. Some people pointing out that Hyderabad technically is the capital of the divided state of Andhra Pradesh as well till 2024, and therefore this kind of a stoppage in the movement is not fair. But Telangana on its part feeling that there is a pressure on the beds and allowing more and more of these patients to come into Hyderabad and creating more of a pressure on the health infrastructure in Telangana and in Hyderabad may not be a very viable solution. While this is happening, yesterday we had reported out of King Koti Hospital in Hyderabad, where again on Sunday there was this issue of 2 hours of disruption of oxygen supply, in which there were varying reports of 4 deaths to 7 deaths that were reported by the patients as well as by our sources in the hospitals. But subsequently, the health authorities issued a note saying that no deaths had happened because of the disruption in oxygen supply. That, of course, is very difficult for us to establish if we were to say that deaths did happen due to oxygen. But we did meet, attendants of inpatients who had, in fact, who were in the hospital, who had made arrangements for their own private supplies of oxygen inside the government hospital, fearing that there could be disruption. They said it had happened in the past, and they were worried that could happen in the future as well. Even from the Telangana Institute of Medical Sciences, there are some worrying reports coming in of disruption in supply, but we have not been able to independently verify it yet. Back to you.
All right, Uma, really gives a sense of the oxygen crisis and how states are doubling down on their own resources for, their own state citizens in a sense, and trying to prevent people from other states in coming in and accessing those scarce resources. So let's talk about what Uma was reporting just now about in Hyderabad, how a 2-hour supply cut was reported at a hospital, which led to several patients dying at a government hospital, as though, as Uma says, the authorities have denied it. There was panic and chaos at Hyderabad's district hospital, King Koti, which is a dedicated COVID facility with 300 oxygen beds and 50 ICU beds after the oxygen supply was disrupted. Uma sent us this report.
We are here outside King Koti Hospital in Hyderabad, where in fact yesterday an oxygen shortage occurred in the afternoon at around 3 p.m. What is your name?
Rohit.
And your brother is?
Krishna Chaitanya.
And he is admitted here?
Yeah.
What happened yesterday? Oxygen stopped?
Yeah, for 2 hours.
For 2 hours oxygen stopped?
Yeah.
And then what were the patients? How were they struggling?
Pulse was down. It was 60.
Oxygen saturation?
Yeah. So we
you made an arrangement.
Yeah.
How were you able to immediately arrange?
అంటే మా దగ్గర ఒకటి ఎక్స్ట్రా ఉండే కార్లో, అది తీసుకొచ్చి పెట్టేసినాం. ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ రీఫిల్లింగ్ పంపిస్తున్నాం. ఉంటుంది కదా అన్నట్టు ఎమర్జెన్సీకి పెట్టుకున్నాము. కానీ పక్కన వాళ్ళు ఏం చెప్పారంటే అంతకుముందు ఆల్రెడీ అయింది, 1 వీక్ ముంగల అయింది అంటే సరే అని ఇంకా ఎమర్జెన్సీకి పెట్టుకున్నాం మేము.
మీరే ఎమర్జెన్సీ పెట్టుకున్నారు. అండ్ నిన్న క్రైసిస్ లో అందరు భయపడిపోయి ఉంటారు, బట్ యువర్ నేబర్స్ ఇమీడియట్లీ హెల్ప్ యూ.
యా.
వాట్ డిడ్ దే డు? వాళ్ళు ఏం చేశారు?
మా పక్కన వాళ్ళు వచ్చేసి వాళ్ళ దగ్గర 2 cylinders ఉండే, ఒక సిలిండర్ మా అన్నకి ఫిక్స్ చేశారు. అంటే మేము పైకి తెచ్చే లోపల, పైకి తెచ్చిన తర్వాత మాది మేము ఫిట్ చేసాం.
Crucial few minutes kada. Okay. So that is the kind of crisis that people are undergoing, and we are talking about a 350-bed hospital where in fact there are at least 50 ICU beds and 300 oxygen beds. And for people in fact who are just coming in, if I can just pan and show, this is the kind of an oxygen cylinder that Rohit says he already has privately got and kept. This of course is a NGO has kept this cylinder for anybody who may come in an emergency, and till the time that the triage happens, the waiting happens, they can use this nozzle and get themselves the oxygen till such time that they can enter the triage center. But unfortunately what had happened was, we understand that the oxygen tanker lost its way and got delayed for at least 2 hours, after which the local police went and fetched them because the driver went to another hospital instead of this King Koti hospital. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
And more on the oxygen crisis now. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has written to the Prime Minister saying that his state cannot spare any further oxygen, as they have already supplied their buffer stock to neighbouring states and are left with just 86 metric ton of buffer. The state, he wrote, will not allow 40 metric tons of oxygen to Tamil Nadu till May 10th, going by the May 6th decision of the Central Committee of Oxygen Allocation. That means they will now stop providing that oxygen. In fact, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin had on May 7th written to the centre asking for the orders for the allocation of 40 metric ton of oxygen from INOX Kanjigod for Tamil Nadu. Well, let's go across to Sam Daniel now for more. And Sam, this announcement by Kerala, it's going to directly impact Tamil Nadu as all states are scrambling for an oxygen supply.
That's what authorities in Tamil Nadu say, Gargi, that this could affect supply of oxygen to the western districts in Tamil Nadu, including Coimbatore, Salem and a few other districts, and we are looking at options available. We also want the centre to centrally fix this issue circulars to all states to ensure they abide by the system agreed to earlier. At the moment, Tamil Nadu authorities are also contemplating whether they have to stop supply to neighbouring Andhra Pradesh. At the moment, they supply 35 metric tons to Andhra and Telangana. That's one possibility they're looking at to make sure Tamil Nadu would have enough supplies. At the moment, although Tamil Nadu requires around 440 metric tons of oxygen, authorities say the central government is supplying only 419, and Kerala's decision could actually hit this further. And at the moment, they also, in terms of the projections, look at the demand for 840 metric tons of oxygen, as more and more people who test positive continue to require oxygen. And that's why the state is desperately trying to send an SOS. In the course of the day, we may have some clarity, but already Chief Minister M.K. Stalin had written to the Prime Minister, besides talking to him on the phone, asking for the need to hike Tamil Nadu's quota of supply, also pointing out the fact that 13 patients had died in a hospital in Chengalpattu a few days ago, allegedly due to short supply of oxygen. Already Tamil Nadu's tally is inching towards 30,000 every day. This number, authorities say, is likely to go up further in the next 1 week, and they don't want to take any chances, and that's why we may have some clarity what exactly Tamil Nadu is trying to do. But at the moment, they say the central government ought to immediately intervene and make sure states get the required quantum of oxygen required on a daily basis.
Right, Sam. So, in fact, this is, having a cascading effect in a sense. Tamil Nadu, Kerala saying it's not going to share its oxygen, no longer send supplies to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu now looking at the supplies it's sending to Andhra Pradesh. So, every state now really trying to double down on resources.
That's right. They also hope, Gargi, that in the next few days, the oxygen unit at the Sterlite plant in Tuticorin will be able to start its supply of oxygen. That could ease the situation. But the larger picture is Tamil Nadu's demand for around 850 metric tons in the coming weeks as more and more people get tested. And that's why in this context, the stopping of oxygen supply by Kerala raises concern, and the Tamil Nadu government wants, number one, in terms of stopping its supply to other states. Number two, central government intervening and making sure that states get enough supply, not only for the present requirement, but also for the projected rise in demand of oxygen.
All right, Sam, thanks so much for joining us with all of those details. So that is the fight for oxygen, or the stress of oxygen shortage that is being faced by several states. And now from Tamil Nadu, let's go across to Srinagar, where all the major COVID care facilities are also running out of beds, as COVID positive cases have seen a major spike in the last 1 week. On an average, around 5,000 cases have been reported in Jammu and Kashmir, and the health infrastructure is falling too short to deal with this crisis. Let's go across to Nazir for more on this story. Nazir, it sounds like a crisis, a major crisis they're brewing in Jammu and Kashmir and Srinagar, with the health facilities absolutely strained.
Yeah, exactly. It was a crisis waiting to happen when patients come to hospital and they don't find beds. They're struggling to get a bed in the major health facilities in Srinagar, because in the rural districts there are not adequate health facilities where the critical COVID patient can be treated. So they come to Srinagar, and here they don't even find beds, and for days together people wait. And if you see the ICU beds, all the tertiary care health facilities in Srinagar have zero availability of these ICU beds now. It's official. It's not something they have given the number of beds which are available, but there are zero ICU beds in the major tertiary care facilities in Srinagar. Only one hospital has 5 beds available, ICU beds available. So that is really a crisis. I, in fact, found people, they come from other districts, they say there are no proper health facilities. There are very poor health facilities. That's why they are coming to Srinagar, and here they are struggling to get a bed. Really a challenge. Only one good thing in Jammu and Kashmir was there was no oxygen crisis, because this is an oxygen surplus state where for many years hospitals have their own oxygen concentration plants. So that helped a great deal in this crisis. But since the number of COVID patients is increasing, so hospitals are running short of beds. And while there have been COVID care centers have been set up, but what is needed is A, human resource, B, the beds which are fitted with the oxygen, that too with the high flow oxygen. That remains a challenge because those beds are running short. We have seen, beds have been added in different places, but beds needs proper health equipment, which is not available at many places. So it is becoming a challenge, and particularly for those people, distressed families, for bringing their patients to Srinagar's major hospitals like SMHS, Chest Disease Hospital, Sher-e-Kashmir Institute of Medical Science, and they don't find beds there. Got it.
All right, Nazir. So in Srinagar, you're seeing a crisis of hospital beds and facilities running short, and even healthcare workers, they're absolutely strained. Thanks so much for joining us. With that, time for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll take a look at the mad scramble for vaccinations as vaccine doses run short.
Brought to you by Just Human, India's first 24-hour hand sanitizer that protects against coronavirus. New Citroën C5 Aircross SUV. India's widest range of smart ACs. Meet the future with Panasonic air conditioners. Sunday ho ya Monday, roz khao ande. And Hindustan Syringes and Medical Devices, makers of Dispovan.
ये महामारी की बला, खांसी सर्दी से सता, सर दर्द बदन दर्द, टेंशन में नींद ना गवा, संडू बाम लगा, महामारी में ये वरदान, संडू बाम, पीड़ा हारी बाम.
I love Indian food and I love washing dishes.
Presenting Faber dishwashers with 3D oil clean technology.
Love cooking, love the kitchen.
बहुत टफ था यार, सारे क्वेश्चंस गूगल थे पापा.
एकदम इजी था मॉम.
एक्सक्यूज मी, कौन सी कोचिंग में डाला?
कोचिंग से निकाला, सोचिंग में डाला. टॉपर के लाइव क्लासेस, एडेप्टिव प्रैक्टिस और आस्क डाउट से स्टूडेंट्स की सोचिंग बढ़े, तभी तो वो टॉपर बने.
टॉपर, बेटर लर्निंग, बेटर रिजल्ट्स.
मुल्तानी कोका कफ सिरप, तुलसी, वसा, यस्ती मधु, पिपली के गुणों से भरपूर, जो खांसी पर करे तुरंत असर, ताकि बदलते मौसम के साथ आप न बदलें। टेक द वैक्सीन, cover your mouths and stick around at home. That's all I can say. The things are not good. Things aren't good. We need to help the system to level things out. We cannot say system should only work and we don't do anything about it.
Use one injection only for one person, as reuse of an injection can be deadly. Use only Kojak syringe, as it breaks automatically after a single use.
महामारी में जब सर्दी खांसी का जोर, ज़ंडुबाम से भाप लो सांस लो।
ज़ंडुबाम, भाप लो सांस लो।
Welcome back. Now, India on Monday reported 3.66 lakh COVID cases, a 9% drop over the previous day's numbers. Deaths too came down by 8%. But what's significant to see is that testing dropped, and that usually happens over the weekend by around 21% in those 24 hours. And perhaps the most worrying figure is of vaccinations. The number of vaccinations have seen a drop of a massive 66% in 24 hours. Vaccinations were 6,89,652, where it should be in fact above 50 lakh is what many experts say. Per day we should be vaccinating 50 lakh people, but there are just no doses. There's a scramble for vaccines across the country, and chaos was witnessed at various vaccination centers on Monday, with long queues and social distancing norms going for a toss. People are saying it's an impossible hunt for vaccination slots. For those who are not tech savvy, it's an even bigger challenge. The result is long queues, even the elderly standing in queues to get their vaccine shot.
At most vaccination centers across the country, huge crowds. Ghaziabad, Amritsar, Bihar, Ahmedabad. People lining up at vaccination centers hoping to get the shot. In Noida, the police had a difficult time controlling the crowds who turned up at the vaccination centers. Only 16 government centers are giving the vaccination to the 18 to 44-year-old group. But here too, the doses are in short supply.
कंफ्यूजन ये हुआ है कि सभी को स्लॉट अलॉट किया गया था। उस स्लॉट में ना करके लोगों ने सोचा है कि हम पहले चलें, हमारा पहले लग जाए। तो लोगों को समझा दिया गया है, अब लोग अपने अपने स्लॉट पे आएंगे और वहीं पे अपना वैक्सीनेशन करेंगे।
The demand for vaccinations outstripping the supply in many parts of the country. Karnataka is adding new cases at a rapid pace. In Bangalore, at one of the few centers where 18 to 44-year-olds can get vaccinated, long queues and a long wait.
We did not get the vaccine, although we had the appointment, and now they are saying that they cannot issue any more token because maximum number of tokens is 150. Even after getting the appointment, it is not possible for us to get vaccinated today.
At this government vaccination camp, hardly any takers, as only 50 tokens were given for the second dose.
People waiting here for the Covishield vaccination, most of them for the second dose. Limited vaccines. Karnataka has been facing a challenge when it comes to vaccine.
If the stock will come, we'll start 18 plus also.
Okay, so right now it's only the second dose for those above 45.
Yes. 50 people we are giving it today.
50 doses here today?
Yes. Only 50.
Today I came to know they are giving only for 50 members.
Okay.
So the people who have taken token, they might not come back. So I'm waiting for the chance. If not, I will come tomorrow morning.
It's like reserved against cancellation in RAC.
Yes, RAC.
RAC.
The BKC Jumbo Vaccination Centre, the largest in Maharashtra, has run out of vaccines. Nasir Khan is trying to get vaccinated for 3 days, but he can't get an appointment for himself and his wife in the 45 plus category and for his son who is 18.
And we are trying from last 3 days, there is no vaccination. They are telling no this vaccine, no vaccine.
It's a question most of India is asking.
More and more people worried and anxious that they are not going to be able to get their second dose are coming in here. You can see the police is also there. There are a lot of elderly people who are queuing up for this vaccine dose. At least 4 lakh people are due to get their vaccine just within this month, and more than 40 lakh people would need a second dose.
In Kerala's Thiruvananthapuram, 65-year-old Vasantha Nair and his wife have managed to get the last token at this general hospital for their second shot. At another centre, they were told tokens for vaccinations for the day get over as early as 4 a.m. in the morning. Such is the scramble to get vaccinated.
ഞാൻ തൈക്കാട് ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ ആദ്യം പോയി. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ വെളുപ്പിന് 3 മണിക്ക് തന്നെ ചെന്നാൽ 200 ടോക്കൺസ് അവർ കൊടുക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ വെളുപ്പിന് 3-4 മണിക്കത് തീരും. അപ്പോൾ പിന്നെ അവിടെ ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്.
ആര് പറഞ്ഞു അത്?
അവിടുത്തെ സെക്യൂരിറ്റിയാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങളത് വേറെ ട്രൈ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഇവിടെ വീണ്ടും രണ്ടാമതാണ് ഇവിടെ വന്നത്. ഇവിടെ വന്നപ്പോൾ ഏറ്റവും ലാസ്റ്റ് ടോക്കൺ കിട്ടി. അങ്ങനെ വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്.
56-year-old Vijayan and 45-year-old Binu sell vegetables. Their daughter has been trying again and again to get a slot on the CoWIN portal.
സ്ലോ കിട്ടുന്നില്ല. അത് നമ്മളെ ഇങ്ങനെ നമ്മളെ എടുത്തോണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് ഒരു ദിവസം ഒരു 6-7 പ്രാവശ്യം ട്രൈ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ കാണിക്കുന്നേ ഇല്ല. അടുത്തതിന് ശേഷം രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്ത് അതിന് OTP വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ ആ സ്ഥലം എവിടെയെന്ന് കാണിക്കുന്നില്ല. നമ്മളെ ഒരുപാട് പാടുപെടുന്നുണ്ട് അത് കിട്ടാനായിട്ട്. എവിടെയാണ് എന്തെന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ.
Kerala's hope now rests on the first batch of Covishield doses it is ordered from vaccination companies directly. Rajasthan too has just received 3.5 lakh doses of Covishield ordered directly from the Serum Institute. It will only now start the drive to vaccinate those between 18 and 44 in all districts in the state. The shortage of vaccines is a problem governments across the country are grappling with.
दिल्ली में वैक्सीन की बहुत कोवैक्सीन का 1 दिन का है, कोवैक्सीन का 1 दिन का और कोविशील्ड का 3-4 दिन का.
And as the second surge continues across India, people are eager to be vaccinated. But the rollout of the vaccines and its delivery is slowing down the drive, which is the need of the hour in the pandemic. Bureau Report, NDTV.
That time for us to slip into a short break. More news on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, horrific story from Bihar, and the visuals are going to be disturbing. Bloated, decomposing bodies washed up on the banks of the Ganga in Bihar's Buxar, and frightening new visuals that expose the scale of India's COVID crisis, especially in the hinterland. We warn our viewers that the pictures you're about to see will be very disturbing and discretion is advised. Dozens of bodies were seen floating in the Ganga at Chausa town on Bihar's border with Uttar Pradesh, and later piling up on the banks to the horror of the residents. The local administration believes the bodies.
ये पता किया गया कि गंगा जी में ही दूर से प्रवाहित होकर वो लाशें आई हैं और वो हमारे घाट की तरफ वो किनारे पर लग गई हैं, जिसका डिस्पोजल हम लोग अभी करवा रहे हैं. ये लाश तो कहीं न कहीं से आ ही रही है. अब वो अन्वेषण का विषय है, क्योंकि ये लाशें जो दिख रही हैं लगता है कि ये 5-7 दिन से बहती हुई लाशें हैं.
संक्रमित लाशें बहुत 200 या 300 के आसपास होगी. इसमें चारों तरफ से भयभीत सब लोग हैं, संक्रमित होने का संभावना है. इसमें जिला प्रशासन कुछ नहीं संज्ञान लिया है.
So horror there in Buxar in Bihar with those bodies washing up. Now news from Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh, and panic at the Aligarh Muslim University as 18 professors have died of COVID in 20 days. Over a dozen retired professors too have died of COVID. Now the university feels it could be due to a different deadly variant of the virus, and the VC has now written to the ICMR seeking genome sequencing of the samples taken in the campus. The letter by the VC says there's a possibility that a particular variant may be circulating in areas around the AMU campus, which has led to these deaths. Let's go across to NDTV's Kamal Khan now for more. And Kamal, given the scale of deaths, 18 professors and over a dozen retired professors dying of COVID in the last couple of days, panic in Aligarh Muslim University that it could be some different sort of a variant.
हाँ, बिल्कुल लोगों को ये लग रहा है कि एक इतने अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी जिस सिविलाइंस एरिया में है, वहाँ पे ये बहुत तेजी से फैल रहा है और बहुत जल्दी लोगों की मौतें हो रही हैं। अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी के कुछ प्रोफेसर से हमारी बातचीत हुई, उनका कहना है कि बहुत सारे यंग प्रोफेसर्स की डेथ हो गई है और बहुत जल्दी हो गई है। बहुत सारे हेल्दी यंग और अपनी फिटनेस का बहुत ध्यान रखने वाले लोगों की डेथ हो गई है, जिनको कोविड के बारे में बहुत जानकारी है, जो सारे तरह के प्रिकॉशंस भी ले रहे थे और उसके बाद भी उनकी डेथ हो गई है। तो ये लग रहा है कि इतने बड़े पैमाने पे एक यूनिवर्सिटी में मौतें हो जाना, उसमें बहुत सारी बड़े स्कॉलर्स हैं, जबकि अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी का एक बहुत बड़ा मेडिकल कॉलेज है और बहुत रिनाउंड मेडिकल कॉलेज है, उसके बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स की डेथ हो गई है। तो अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी में करीब 30,000 स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ते हैं, करीब 19,000 स्टूडेंट्स हॉस्टल्स में रहते हैं, हॉस्टल्स खाली हो गए हैं। सिविल लाइंस एरिया में बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स किराए पे रहते हैं, पीजी में रहते हैं, वो एरिया छोड़ करके चले गए हैं, अपने घरों को भाग गए हैं। तो इसलिए ऐसा लग रहा है कि कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कोई नया वेरिएंट है जो ज्यादा डेडली है, जिसकी वजह से एएमयू के इतने सारे लोगों की मौत हो गई है।
All right, Kamal, thanks so much for joining us with that. So the Vice Chancellor of AMU writing to the ICMR to check whether there's some sort of different variant of coronavirus that is spreading in AMU and surrounding areas. Now, in view of the COVID crisis and how stretched healthcare facilities are, most of India is under a lockdown, and in South India, the full lockdown began in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka on Monday, while Kerala too is under a complete lockdown since Sunday amid strict police checking. Here's a report.
The quietness of a shut-down day in Karnataka's capital, Bengaluru. Essential shops can open from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. After that, everything has to be shut. Milk booths can be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and also push carts selling fruits and vegetables can also operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Essential shops, of course, like this medical shop, can stay open.
With the daily tally inching towards 30,000, Tamil Nadu is on a 2-week lockdown from today. Even vegetable and meat shops ought to shut down by noon. No public transport, no liquor shops.
Closed shops, empty roads, strict checking across the state to ensure only essential service providers or exceptional cases are only allowed or movement on the road. This as Kerala is gearing up for what is projected to be around 6 lakh cases by the 15th of May, 6 lakh active cases by May 15th.
It's normal activity as usual. That's a general store, that's a canteen, everything is open. It's past 6 in the evening, and as you can see, there's a regular vegetable market as well, bustling with activity as much as perhaps you can imagine during a COVID pandemic time. Telangana perhaps is the only state in the country where there is no lockdown at all. In fact, not even a partial lockdown. There is a curfew between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning, but otherwise no restrictions at all.
And as there's a shortage of vaccine doses in several states, Maharashtra is looking to import vaccines. Speaking to NDTV, Maharashtra Minister Aditya Thackeray explained the state's strategy and said that Mumbai can be fully vaccinated in a matter of weeks.
We are at the BMC level, at the state government level, fully ready across all cities to vaccinate our population, 18 to 44. That is the mandate given to us by the government of India in a very swift and efficient manner. Having said that, yes, like other states, we are scrambling and struggling for vaccines, whatever the short supply is today. We're hoping that we'll get more. We're in constant talks with the government of India and the producers. But at the Mumbai level as well, and as a guardian minister for the city of Mumbai, me and my colleague, Mr. Aslam Sheikh, and the mayor, Kishori Pednikar ji, plus the municipal commissioner, all of us have been deliberating. We discussed with the chief minister whether we can look at the possibilities of globally procuring vaccines for the city of Mumbai. And if we can do that, around 50 lakh vaccines, we have a roadmap to vaccinate the people within 3 weeks. So that is fully ready as long as we get the vaccine.
Now, as Delhi prepares for the third wave, the government has set up a 500-bed ICU facility, which is an extension of the GTB hospital. Sharad Sharma reports.
दिल्ली वालों के लिए बहुत बड़ी और राहत की खबर है। खबर यह है कि दिल्ली सरकार ने 500 ICU बेड्स का अस्थायी अस्पताल तैयार कर लिया है। दिल्ली के अंदर इस समय सबसे ज़्यादा अगर कमी किसी चीज़ की है तो वो है आईसीयू बेड्स की। आईसीयू बेड दिल्ली के अंदर ढूंढना बिल्कुल ऐसा है जैसे आप रेगिस्तान में पानी ढूंढ रहे हों। आप दिल्ली सरकार के अस्पताल में ढूंढिए, आप प्राइवेट अस्पताल में ढूंढिए, आप केंद्र सरकार के अस्पताल में ढूंढिए, आईसीयू बेड बिल्कुल ये मान के चलिए बिल्कुल असंभव जैसा होता है दिल्ली के अंदर इस समय मिलना। तो ऐसे में दिल्ली सरकार जीटीबी हॉस्पिटल जो उत्तर पूर्वी दिल्ली में दिल्ली सरकार का हॉस्पिटल है उसके पास ही एक अस्थायी अस्पताल का निर्माण करवा रही थी पिछले कुछ दिनों से। अब ये निर्माण पूरा हो गया है, ये अस्पताल पूरी तरह से तैयार है और ये देखिए ये वो अस्पताल है। अब मैं आपको दिखाता हूं कि ये जो 500 बेड का दिल्ली सरकार ने अस्थायी अस्पताल बनाया है, पहली बार दिल्ली सरकार ने इस तरह का अस्पताल दिल्ली के अंदर बनवाया है। तो ये देखिए इस अस्पताल में जो सबसे अहम चीज़ जो दिल्ली के अंदर ढूंढे नहीं मिल सकती इस समय पर वो है वेंटिलेटर। ये देखिए इस अस्पताल में 100 बेड्स पर, ये देखिए पीएम केयर्स का ये वेंटिलेटर है, यहाँ दिख रहा है, 100 बेड्स पर वेंटिलेटर होंगे, 350 इस तरह की बाईपैप मशीन होंगी और 50 बेड्स जो होंगे वो HFNO यानी हाई फ्लो नेजल ऑक्सीजन वाला जो सिस्टम होता है उस तरह से यहाँ पर काम चलेगा। तो 500 बेड्स का ये आईसीयू तैयार किया गया है और बताया गया कि 350 नर्सिंग स्टाफ यहाँ पर तैनात किया जाएगा। 20 से 30 अलग अलग तरह के स्पेशलिस्ट होंगे, 40 सीनियर रेजिडेंट होंगे, 120 जूनियर रेजिडेंट यहाँ पर तैनात किए जाएंगे। तो इस तरह के मेकशिफ्ट इंतज़ाम, ये अस्थायी अस्पताल है, इस तरह के मेकशिफ्ट अरेंजमेंट जो हैं वो अलग अलग राज्यों की सरकारें कर रही हैं, लेकिन दिल्ली के लिए ये अहम बात इसलिए है कि इससे पहले हमने देखा है कि दिल्ली के अंदर DRDO ने इस तरह का इंतज़ाम किया था जहां पर आईसीयू बेड्स मेकशिफ्ट हॉस्पिटल इस तरह के हॉस्पिटल के अंदर बनाए गए थे, लेकिन दिल्ली सरकार ने अपने स्तर पर इस तरह का इंतज़ाम पहली बार किया है।
And now shocking scenes from Uttar Pradesh. The funeral of a Muslim cleric in Badaयूं, attended by tens of thousands on Sunday, has raised fears of a super spreader as the state battles a COVID spiral. The UP police launched an investigation into the event after filing an FIR on Monday. Now the cleric died on Sunday afternoon and within hours thousands came from various parts of the state to Badaयूं and violating all COVID safety rules, and an ongoing lockdown gathered at the mosque where the cleric's body was kept for public viewing. A few masks were seen in these teeming crowds, raising fears of the virus spreading rapidly. Home in Chennai, a first of its kind mask dispensing machine. Drop a 5 rupee coin and you get a mask instantly. Transport authorities have installed this at the Coimbatore bus terminus to help passengers without mask get one before they hop on.
We come to you from the Coimbatore bus station in Chennai. At the entrance there is a mask dispenser, something I'm seeing for the first time. It says if we drop a 5 rupee coin, we can get a mask. I'm going to try that now. I've dropped the coin. Yes, a mask, a surgical mask is coming out. Something very interesting, the need of the hour, particularly when people do not comply with the mask wearing norm. Here they say no entry for passengers who don't wear a mask, and this comes very handy indeed. In Chennai with Shah Vijay, Sam Daniel, Find It TV.
Welcome back. The Delhi High Court will take up for early hearing today a petition seeking to stop construction work relating to the Central Vista project in view of the spike in COVID cases. And in fact, the petition talks about how the crisis is continuing in the national capital. The plea says that the project has the potential to be a super spreader if allowed to continue during the pandemic. It has also contended that the continuation of the project was a matter of concern in view of the crumbling healthcare system and the lives at stake of the workers who are employed at the construction site. Yesterday, we also on our show Reality Check discussed it with on whether this project should actually continue as India is in the midst of the second wave of the pandemic.
At a time of a public pandemic, when there's such a growing chorus of protests against this particular project, why do you think the government is going ahead? And surely as a supporter of the BJP, do you acknowledge that this is something which is actually damaging you, damaging the image of the government?
Srinivasan, over the last 1 year, I may have participated at least more than 22 plus debates on various channels on the Central Vista project. Nobody, including the topmost architects in these, many of those panels were never been able to tell me once why Central Vista project should not be there and why the timing is wrong. Is it an economic reason? Explain why this project
in the past year.
Reason. No, one second, Srinivasan. I'll just explain you because I have studied it very well. One, is it an economic reason, or is it an infra reason, or is it the current or the earlier wave of COVID time? That was the time when there was a huge hue and cry that why there is a COVID is happening and why this project should be happening.
Because right now we're in the middle of a terrible second wave. There is a lockdown in the city, understandably so. All activity has come to a halt under the disaster management rules. That also includes construction activity. Why is this one project so important that it has actually been granted some kind of special status, that it's an essential service, that it needs to go ahead? What is so essential about it?
2 minutes.
That it can't be put off for a few months?
I'll explain you in 2 seconds. I don't even require a minute. 40 plus kilometers per day construction of road construction is happening in this country. There are more than 3,000 major infrastructure projects are happening in this country at this time when you and me are talking. Do you think that we all stopped eating? Do you think that we all stopped living? No. A Central Vista project is a project which was planned not from today. It is 20-year-old concept. The only thing is
I'm citing your own government's rules, which says that construction activity is not allowed.
To hear actually the truth.
If you wanted to know the truth, this is not a rule I've made up.
If you wanted to know the Central Vista project, the truth, the so many white lies. People have been telling that it is 20,000 crore rupees is being spent. 1,300 crore rupees will be spent over the next 2 years. This project is not going to happen in 1 day or 2 days or in 1 6 days.
Okay, I wasn't actually on the money yet. I wasn't on the money yet, but I will come to the money. Let me just bring in Gurdeep Singh Sapal to respond to some of the things that you said. Gurdeep Singh Sapal, you want to respond to Mr. Nambiar? He said there are thousands of projects going on, infrastructure projects all over the country. What's wrong with the Central Vista project?
Well, BJP is trying to equate both infrastructure projects with this Central Vista project. I'll come to other reasons later, but one primary reason which has whisked the eyes of BJP government is that all the ministries will be shifted to a new location. For 1 year, the entire work of the government will be disrupted. The entire ministries will move out, entire Babudam, entire filing system, entire computers, and the current situation of the country is such that A, we are going through a pandemic, B, we are going through a very bad economic phase. The government itself says that it needs to work 24/7, and here you are disrupting the entire government for next 1 year, 2 years. Where will the entire efficiency, how will they ensure?
I'll add efficiency.
I'll come to other points.
The efficiency, just a second, one second, one at a time. Mr. Nambiar, no, hold on. I have the chair right now. That's not actually, Mr. Sapal, the argument that the Congress is making. At least I have not heard it so far, that it's going to disrupt the efficiency of the government. You've been arguing that this is a wasteful expense, a vanity project at this time. Priyanka Gandhi just tweeted today, we can put it up on screen, saying the PM's new residence and the Central Vista cost 20,000 crores, 62 crore vaccine doses, 22 crore remdesivir vials, crores of oxygen cylinders, and how many AIIMS can be constructed with this money. You seem to be arguing that this is money that is being ill-spent on this project. Mr. Nambiar and the BJP is saying actually 20,000 crores is over a long period of time. What we're actually spending at the moment is just a fraction, a couple of thousand crores.
Well, it has got economic angle to it. It has got governance angle to it. It has also got the angle that you read. You see, in last few weeks, the government has taken a U-turn on vaccination in this country. 35,000 crore were allocated in the central budget. Suddenly, government comes around and say, okay, everybody will buy their own vaccines. Why? Because there's a lack of money in the system. B, you see, the genomics study, which was so necessary for this fighting this COVID, it required 110 crores. It was given only 80 crores finally. Government is pinching money from everywhere. Small amounts are being saved. And here there is the money being splurged on a project which was not required right now.
Right.
The entire argument of BJP is that this is a common thing which was there in the pipeline for years.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Gargi Raut. Our top story, oxygen crisis continues in various parts of the country, and at least 11 patients in intensive care died at Tirupati's Ruia Hospital yesterday evening following a disruption of oxygen supply. Videos have emerged that show a mad scramble inside the ward as medical, paramedic and others are trying to revive and keep patients alive in the crisis. Attenders of patients allege there was a disruption in supply for 45 minutes, while the district collector has said the supply stopped for around 5 minutes and was resumed, but the hospital lost 11 lives. NDTV's Uma Sudhir sent us this report.
Extremely disturbing and distressing visuals coming in from the ICU wards of SVR Ruia Hospital in Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh, where in fact there was a disruption in the oxygen supply causing distress among the patients and also panic. 11 people have died who were all COVID patients, and we are being told they were on ventilators or on oxygen support, and they have died because of the kind of disruption that happened. As we can see in the visuals, the patients, the attenders, as well as the paramedical staff and the doctors, in fact, in a sense of panic and trying to revive whichever patients they can for who they see hope. And the district collector who came in later, Hari Narayanan, he has confirmed that 11 deaths have happened, and he said that the distress happened for about 5 minutes, even though the patients and their attendants are in fact claiming that the disruption happened for over 25 minutes, some of them saying as many as 40 or 45 minutes that oxygen supply was disrupted. What we understand is that there is a 10,000 litre oxygen tank at the hospital, and this oxygen tank had almost run out. There was a delay in the tanker coming in from Siri Perambudur. That's what district collector has said, and they were trying to shift these patients, all the patients who were in the ICU or on oxygen support, to bulk kind of cylinders. But during that process there was a dip in the oxygen pressure, and that is what is supposed to have caused this disruption in supply. So what kind of effect it has had on the other patients in the ICU who have survived this ordeal, that is not yet clear, but the Chief Minister has now ordered an inquiry to find out what exactly went wrong. They would like to ensure supplies, of course, adequately to all the hospitals in the state. What we understand is that there are at least 35,000 patients, COVID patients in hospital who require oxygen as of now, and one of the reasons why the partial lockdown was imposed in Andhra Pradesh is also because the health infrastructure is totally stretched, and the advisors to the Chief Minister had told him that further load cannot be taken by the system, and therefore it is best to try and take measures which would break the virus chain and therefore bring lesser number of people to the hospital in a critical kind of a state. So this kind of shortages and stretching of the system, that's something that every hospital perhaps is experiencing, because on social media, and we are also getting primarily calls from people asking for help in getting ICUs or oxygen beds. That is something that the district administrations and the government says is adequately taken care of with the kind of facilities that they have created in the last 1 year. But that is something perhaps common to all the states across the country. But yes, Andhra Pradesh has a partial lockdown in order to try and cope with these numbers. Between 12 noon and 6 a.m. there is a lockdown, and between 6 a.m. and 12 noon essential services are open. In the neighboring state of Telangana, you don't have any lockdowns at all. There is a night curfew between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. And even in Telangana, the systems are quite stretched, at least even though the government is claiming that there are adequate oxygen beds, ventilators, medicines and hospital beds available. But what we see on the ground is there is, of course, a stretch on the resources itself. We had visited, in fact, King Koti Hospital which is a major district hospital in Hyderabad, where on Sunday a disruption in oxygen supply was experienced for about 2 hours. The report suggested that there could have been as many as 3 to 7 deaths that happened because of the disruption in oxygen supply. The health authorities have denied that and said that no deaths occurred due to that. We visited this hospital and got a first-person account from the attendants of the patients, who say the patients were all struggling and they in fact had to make arrangements, private arrangements for oxygen cylinders.
So an oxygen crisis there in Tirupati, an oxygen crisis in Hyderabad as well, where a 2-hour supply cut yesterday reportedly led to 7 patients dying at a government hospital, although authorities have denied this. There was panic and chaos at Hyderabad's district hospital, King Koti, a dedicated COVID facility with 300 oxygen beds and 50 ICU beds, after the oxygen supply got disrupted at around 3 p.m. And the patients did die. However, the authorities have denied this. So an oxygen crisis and now a fight over oxygen between various states. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan yesterday wrote to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying that his state cannot spare any further oxygen, as they have already supplied their buffer stock to neighbouring states and are left with just 86 metric ton. The state, he wrote, will allow 40 metric tons of oxygen to Tamil Nadu till the 10th of May, and going by the decision on the 6th of May by the Central Committee of Oxygen Allocation. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin had on May 7th written to the centre asking for orders for the allocation of 40 metric ton of oxygen from the Inox Kanjikode plant for Tamil Nadu. But now Kerala saying that it cannot any longer supply oxygen to its neighbouring states. Let's go across to Sneha now for more. And Sneha, this is a worry now for Tamil Nadu and other states where oxygen from Kerala was being supplied, but the Chief Minister saying in view of the rising cases, they cannot afford to send any more oxygen out.
Well, couple of things here, Gargi. One, what the Chief Minister has said, that the current active cases in Kerala is around a little over 4 lakh active cases. Now, in just about 5 days from now, the projected active cases for Kerala is expected at around 6 lakh cases. So it's like almost a 2 lakh jump is what the projected numbers show. Considering that, the government has been ramping up the facilities on the ground. Till now, there has not been any disruption of, there has not been any hospital which has reported oxygen per se not being available to patients. There was a close call in a hospital in Kasaragod where some patients had to be moved out from the ICU because they preempted an oxygen shortage in the morning when they were taking a stock taking of the situation. And by afternoon, they received around 15 cylinders of oxygen, D cylinders of oxygen. But the situation is getting tight in several hospitals. One, because the number of patients who require oxygen support is only increasing, and it is further expected to increase in days to come. Now, the Chief Minister in his letter to the Prime Minister has written, out of the buffer stock of 450 metric tons they had given to neighbouring states during this crisis to be able to handle the situation. And that time, of course, Kerala was not going through such a bad phase in terms of numbers and patients. But now, according to the Chief Minister, the buffer stock is down to 86 metric tons and they cannot afford to give from the buffer stock any further. That's one. Number two, the Chief Minister has said that because of the distance of the state from the key steel plants which provide or supply these oxygens, he's requested that all the 219 metric tons of oxygen that is produced within Kerala should be allowed to be used by Kerala itself. That's number two. Number three, the Chief Minister has said by the 15th of May they would be requiring 450 metric tons, which was part of the buffer, which is now down to 86. So these are the contexts in which the Chief Minister has written to the Prime Minister saying that it will be practically impossible to allow oxygen to be taken out of the state any further, requesting for cryogenic tanks as well as the oxygen train, Oxygen Express train, to now coordinate between the between all the southern states and to provide the requirement of oxygen.
All right, Sneha, thanks so much for joining us with those details of the reasons for this decision by Kerala. But what does it now mean for Tamil Nadu? Earlier we spoke to Sam Daniel for more. Remember, oxygen was being supplied from Kerala to Tamil Nadu. Let's just take a look at this report.
Well, Tamil Nadu is overlooking a shortage of oxygen supply after the Kerala government decided to stop supply of oxygen to Tamil Nadu to meet its own requirements. And now authorities in Tamil Nadu say this could have an impact on the oxygen supply in the western districts of Tamil Nadu, particularly districts like Coimbatore, Salem, Erode and a few others. And at the moment, authorities are also contemplating if they have to stop supply of oxygen to neighboring Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. At the moment, 35 metric tons of oxygen is being supplied from Sri Peramadur to Andhra Pradesh. They also want the immediate intervention of the central government in the form of a circular to all states to abide by the distribution they had agreed to earlier. Tamil Nadu at the moment receives 419 metric tons of oxygen, authorities say, although the demand is 440, and this is set to rise to 840 metric tons in 2 weeks' time as the daily tally is inching towards 30,000 in Tamil Nadu, and there is a steady rise of positive patients requiring oxygen. This oxygen unit in the Sterlite plant in Tuticorin also will start supplying oxygen in a few days' time, and authorities are quite concerned, particularly after 13 patients in fact lost their lives at the Government Medical College Hospital in Chengalpattu a few days ago, allegedly due to oxygen short supply. Well, it's a new government in place in Tamil Nadu, the DMK government, and this is their first challenge and priority, and they want to make sure that things do not go wrong in this front. We expect some kind of a formal response later during the day. In Chennai, Sam Daniel, Find It TV.
Now, horrific story from Bihar, where bloated, decomposing bodies washed up on Monday on the banks of the Ganga at Bihar's Buxar, and frightening new visuals that expose the scale of India's COVID crisis. We warn our viewers, the pictures you're about to see are very disturbing. Dozens of bodies were seen floating in the Ganga at Chausa town on Bihar's border with Uttar Pradesh, and later piling up on the banks to the horror of the residents. The local administration believes the bodies floated down from Uttar Pradesh and belong to COVID patients whose relatives may have been unable to find space to cremate or bury them. Also, of course, there are the costs of cremation. Now there's panic in the town about the infection from the bodies from the river water.
उसका ये पता किया गया कि गंगा जी में ही दूर से प्रवाहित होकर वो लाशें आई हैं और वो हमारे घाट की तरफ और किनारे पर लग गई हैं, जिसका डिस्पोजल हम लोग अभी करवा रहे हैं। इलाज तो कहीं न कहीं से आ ही रही है, अब वो अन्वेषण का विषय है, क्योंकि ये लाशें जो दिख रही हैं लगता है कि ये 5-7 दिन से बहती हुई लाशें हैं।
संक्रमित लाशें बस 200 या 300 के आसपास होगी। इसमें चारों तरफ से भयभीत सब लोग हैं, संक्रमित होने का संभावना है। इसमें जिला प्रशासन कुछ नहीं संज्ञान लिया है।
Well, to talk more now about the COVID crisis, the oxygen crisis that we're seeing and the crisis in rural India, we're joined by Dr. Anjan Trikha, Chairman of the Clinical Managerial Group, COVID Center AIMS. From Hoshiarpur, we're joined by Dr. Vijay Kumar, Senior Dental Surgeon, and from Manipal, Dr. Naveen Kumar, Consultant Clinical Microbiologist and Infection Manipal Hospitals. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us. Dr. Trikha, I'd like to start with you and these visuals that we all saw from Bihar yesterday that horrified so many of us. It just goes to show the kind of crisis that is being seen in rural parts of the country, where people are clearly dying in large numbers, and people can't even deal with it, throwing bodies into the Ganga.
Yeah, thanks, Kari, for having me around. It is really disturbing. I saw them yesterday night, and it was really horrifying. We really think now that the next waves are going to maybe hit the rural area, and there's a lot of information which is not being imparted to the rural people of the country, and this has to be done in their own language. I think NGOs and the government should come into a big way, talk to the ASHA health worker and tell them all the facts about the disease per se and the vaccination. There are so many myths going around in the rural country. So now the next target has to be rural India. I think most of the cities, grade A, B, C cities or people staying there are all aware of the disease and aware of the precautions. They take it or they don't take it. It's a different way, but the awareness is there. Now the focus has to go to the rural part of the country, and I think the government has to tackle it in a big way.
Right, they have to be provided resources. Dr. Vijay Kumar, tell us about the situation in Punjab, because what the reports that we keep getting is people there as well are very reluctant to even get tested, leave alone get vaccinated.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here. Yes, people are very reluctant to get tested over here, and they strongly believe that if they get tested, the tests are going to be positive, or government is going to make them positive. So this kind of mental attitude they have over here, and this is disturbing because the cases are not diagnosed at the early stages, and then ultimately leading to a lot of complications, and a lot more patients are hospitalized and are actually requiring some kinds of oxygen therapy.
Right, and it's spreading so much among the younger people as well. In fact, Punjab Health Minister even spoke about how many people think, oh, it's just a viral, it's just, a cough and a cold or something that they're developing. Maybe it's just typhoid, and they don't take it seriously, as you said. And that is when the situation becomes serious. And, by the time they start looking for a hospital bed or oxygen, it's too late.
Yes, very true. Because the people over here, they have a mindset like, this virus, we cannot get infected. They have so deep belief in this that we cannot get infected. Unless they get it and they ignore the mild signs and symptoms, they don't consult their physicians, and ultimately when in the 7th or 8th day or 9th day, when they actually suffocate, when they can't breathe properly, then they rush for the hospitals, and hospitals are not actually available.
Right.
They're not getting.
Absolutely, and that's what we're seeing reports from Bihar, UP, Punjab, is, the similar reports about how people are dealing with this and essentially not even believing the extent or the seriousness of the pandemic. Dr. Naveen Kumar, now this fight over oxygen is also taking place in the sense all the states seem to be doubling down. Kerala saying it can't send out more oxygen. Tamil Nadu worrying about that. Tamil Nadu is sending to Andhra Pradesh. In Karnataka also you've had issues of oxygen supply, and many people are questioning whether, in this particular wave, how come we are requiring so much more oxygen and, young people being rushed for oxygen support?
I think, most important is people should take advice at the right time. Because not all patients who get infected require oxygenation. So the most important is, if you get diagnosed, take advice properly, so that you do not land up in situations where you have to go on oxygen requirements. So right time and the right moment is very important, particularly in this wave, to have appropriate treatment to avoid hospitalizations and oxygen, getting into the oxygen therapy.
Right, and what is the situation in the hospitals now? The oxygen being managed better? The centre has time and again said that, states need to ensure that they manage their oxygen supplies better.
I think, the hospital where I'm working, there's a situation is, it's better because, and particularly in Delhi, most of the hospitals are getting in a better situations. And now particularly for the last few days, the patients who require oxygenations, yes, there's slight dip, but yes, it's too early to say that, we have really got in situations where do not require, patients with the severe disease who require bed for the oxygenation. But oxygen situation is slightly better than what we used to have up days earlier.
All right, so at least it's better in that sense. Now, if we talk about, this particular variant of coronavirus in the second wave, even the WHO has now said the variant found in India is a variant of concern, meaning that it's actually a threat, across the world. Dr. Anjan Trikha, so even more worrying. And this again, experts have pointed out how we needed to have this information earlier so we'd know how to deal with this second wave.
Okay, yes, you're right. It is a variant of concern. What you acronym VOC has become a very household name. And this variant is slightly more infectious. It spreads faster, and some kind of laxity on our behalf, the citizens of the country, has made this surge go up, in a huge way. Yes, if we could have known it earlier, we could have been aware of it. But then at the end of it, unless the people follow the COVID behavior, how does it matter? The variant is infectious. Younger people think it is not happening to them. The gentleman, Dr. Vijay Kumar from Punjab, has rightly pointed out that people feel it's not going to infect them. They go around spreading it up. And once they get infected, they go to the hospital, then the hospital are choked. So it is just that the variant could be there. There could be a third variant coming. Let's be honest, a fourth variant coming. It's up to us to take care of our own self and our neighbors and our family and the country per se. The government is doing its own part. Maybe we can have different opinions upon that, whether they have done enough or not. But as far as we people are concerned in our country, an average citizen, I'm sorry to say, has not done enough.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's, I mean, had we known, and we did know that there was another variant last year, in fact, but we just did not study it enough and, realize how much more infectious it's going to be. And it's now the dominant variant in various parts of the country. And clearly the thrust, I think we all agree, it has to be now in rural parts of the country where awareness has to be raised. There has to be major government programs, NGO programs as well to raise awareness. And, these kind of scenes that we saw in Bihar are absolutely heart-rending, giving us a sense of what it is like in rural India. Thanks so much, doctors, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Well, time for us to slip into a short break. We'll get you more news updates on the other side. Stay with us.